I guess one of the things that I was wanting to kind of go into also with you talking about like your age, your music, your channel, where are you kind of going? What what are your like deepest hopes for that for the podcast? And like you've kind of outlined them a little bit, like being able to connect, but like do you have um like some hopes for it? Some like what might those be?
The primary hope, the first one that comes to mind is that I love, I love learning, and I saw teaching as a way to be able to like monetize learning essentially. And so when I went back to school, I was considering, well, maybe I should be a professor, and then I get to like learn about a bunch of stuff that I like, and then would get to teach about it, and then engage with people, be challenged by my students, kind of like grow. And also that like relationship is super important to me, and like just being able to help people. Like I was an RA when I was in university, and like had opportunities to just like, my job was to like build relationships with people and like be there for them if they needed stuff. And I was like, this is sick, man. Like this is great. I love this, like I love doing the, like engaging and having relationships. And then it's like explicitly there, like, hey, if you're having a tough time, like come to me, like I'm like, I want to do this. This is what I'm here for, and then when people would have like, I had my first year, my first year it was co-ed. My second year it was all dudes. And so like there was just opportunities to like to be a sounding board for somebody, and I really enjoyed that. Like I feel like it's something that, I don't know, it brings me joy, like, and it feels like it's something that I'm decently capable at, and so, and I saw it being, people like had immense gratitude for it afterwards, and it was like, oh, okay, I love doing this, I want to do more of that, and so that element where that comes into teaching. And then I thought, and so I studied psychology, and obviously like therapy is like the main route people go with through that, and that's still interesting to me. I've had this idea of doing something called like not therapy, because I got my master's, but I don't have like a license. I'm not like formally certified. And I thought of just like doing not therapy sessions, where we like, we sit down and we talk and we, try to solve the problems that are facing you, but it's like not therapy because I'm not a therapist, like for the show, coming off of that professor angle, right, when I was studying psychology, and then it was like, okay, well, I could teach the same thing over and over at a university to a small group of people, or I could just like follow what is the most riveting and interesting to me at that time, and then like teach about it, and like sharing about it could be a way to monetize my personal interest, or monetize my personal interest in learning, essentially. And so that's like the selfish lens.
That's the sustainable lens.
Yeah, that's the like, okay, this is a way. Well, that's just a way where it's like, okay, I could do this, and be able to actually focus my energy on it and do it well, and not just like halfway do it and like be kind of okay, good at it, And so, and the second thing was, this talk about the meaning crisis. I lost like 3 people to suicide. My roommate, who I mentioned earlier, Taylor, and I had a cousin, and then I had a friend from school, and
Wow.
and I was just like, man, and I had like been struggled through like some depression times, and I felt like I was able to learn stuff from like Peterson and people like that, where I was like, man, like if I could have just like shared what I knew with these people, because it's like, I know what it's like being in the dark place, like I've been there, I know what that feeling's like, and I thought like, man, if I could share what I learned and the things that helped me get out of that dark place, then like maybe things wouldn't need to go this way, maybe that, could be avoided, you know? And so that was a big thing too, where I felt this like responsibility of like, I've been in that place and had help from people to pull me out. And it's like, it's sort of kind of simply, it's like, I spent a lot of time thinking about it and I can't think of anything better to do, you know?
I like that.
It's like, I really, you know, I've like thought about it for a while and like, honestly, can't think of anything better to do. And so it's like, all right, you know, like this is what I'm going to focus on. And I've known it for a while too. And I've just, you know, there's been a degree to which there's a bunch of things that have impeded me. Many of them brought on, you know, many of them my own doing, you know, but also things like, you know, you just have to be able to like get your money right to be able to sustain a period of like not having money be the primary thing so that you can focus on creating an art and that sort of things too, until you're able to get it up off the ground at least.
Yeah.
And so
I do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are the two primary goals. Yeah. To be able to like do something that I love, which is learning and share it. And then also be able to engage, like share things that were so helpful to me that I think would, you know, might be able to pull other people back from the edge when they're having a tough time, you know, or just that community aspect of like, just like, you know, you just be with other people, you know, you're not alone. Like there's other people that are interested in the same things as you. There's other people that struggle in the same ways you struggle, you know.
Man, I want to pluck. I wrote them down because these things were like firing because it's so relatable. The Not Therapy was Paul Vanderklay's 500 Rando Conversations. He's a pastor. He's not a therapist.
Very interesting.
He's done roughly 500 conversations with people who don't have YouTube channels, and a lot of them went live. Like a lot of, I mean, I'm just saying, like, are on his channel. Like there's like a randos list, 465 random people in the United States that were listening to Jordan Peterson and didn't know who to talk to about him. And he said, let's start talking. People started saying, can we talk? And then he's like, why don't I record these? And then and so there was that aspect of it, like you're saying, like the not therapy. And I think that sometimes when we hear that kind of stuff, like, oh, somebody already did that. Like there is no competition. This is digital. There's no competition. There's 8 billion people. There's 350 million people in the United States. And like in the English speaking world, I don't know, the third of that 8 billion, I don't know, something crazy. So the not therapy thing, that was for me when I went on a double date with my wife back in January, like the day that I put up a video called This Little Corner of the Internet and How I See It. And we were having dinner with a couple friends of ours that had gone through something really hard, and I was trying to like articulate some of this wisdom, and I was like, damn it, I've got to talk about this, because I had just seen Paul do like a Friday morning thing where he opened up his live stream and like 6 people just popped up and started talking. It's like, what did he just do? What is that? People just talking. People had relationships, and it was based off of this like trust also built over time of just seeing a guy talk to people that were like other people they had talked to. And then Grimm, to reference him again, he's kind of created this, he has a little brand for it, but it's called Virtually Not Alone, VNA. And so like, that is, like you mentioned, like being alone in those dark places, and he's dealt with that very demon that you mentioned. And so like, that's a part of this whole thing too. Sometimes if you see people in the corner, you might see a little bubble, like as a little watermark up on the top, and that's the VNA bubble. And it's like this, but it's not like, it's just if you choose to. It's not like we're like, you know, and then the other piece that you were talking about was like the monetizing the education. And that got me thinking about like Peterson Academy and Symbolic World Online and for Vakey. Everyone's kind of siloing off their thing, and
my dream is to keep it like free to consumer forever, essentially, you know, to have like optional products off on the side, and, you know, like whatever sort of stuff like that to be able to monetize it, but to have, you know, to have the things be, you know, to reach as wide of an audience as possible, have that be the primary goal, and then have, you know, making enough money to get by secondary.
And that's the crazy thing about like what I mean, like there's not there is always competition, but it's like there shouldn't have to feel like a competitive. Jordan Hall had this thing called the non-rivalrous, and it was, I don't know, I don't even have like a great understanding of it, but I think it has something to do with this, which is in the digital space, there's just so much opportunity to that the gold is in the doing. Like if you do it, that's the goal. Like, like I made that choice. Like, am I going to be Joe Rogan? No way. Because he was the first I mean, he did that for, there are other people like, or Lex Friedman or whoever. And I'm not tapped into any network. I mean, I am tapped to This Little Corner network, but not like those kind of like power, more like based off of status networks. And, but it just doesn't have to, there's a temptation that we all feel that we should, even in this little space that I'm playing in, like, but just to get out of that mindset. And I think it's even like kind of connected to the Bitcoin thing, like to get out of like this rat race mindset that you just go out, just like, just do your thing, just do it and be okay with doing it. And the goal and you win if you don't stop. That's just what I kind of believed for myself, is like, I win whatever I win if I don't stop. I was even nervous to have this conversation, like, because I'm at this first time I've done, people, you can't see all my fancy, but like, knowing that he'd worked on like a professional podcast and like, I'm in Nashville. Nashville's like hip, and I'm like, this doesn't feel hip to me. But regardless,
I think this is great.
Great. Well, thank you. Oh yeah, thank you. You're making me feel, but like, I'm just trying to say, that's how I've approached this for me. And so I think like the virtually, these pieces are in place. And I think the thing about what I'm trying to say is like, there needs to be more of it. Like that's the other piece, is like, we don't have enough of this. That's the non-rivalers thing, is like, there's not even, and there was a conversation they were having like on Paul's channel this week, I think, about what should we do. And earlier this week, this guy who does he does a show like this, and he wears a wrestling mask. His name's Chad the Alcoholic, and his channel's the Friday Morning Nameless. And like, he's done a lot of randos, and he does a lot of stuff that's really him on his channel. And he's like, people are like, well, what should we do? What is this TLC? Should we do something? Should we do something? And he's saying in his way, but I'm saying his mind is just like, start participating more, whatever that next level is. And I think for you, like, you've had experiences in your background. I have certain experiences in my background that made it easier for me to know how to do this kind of thing, like media wise. But I did, of course, here's the guy with, 650 subs talking to the guy with like, 15,000 subs, like, hey, I want to encourage you to.
I think you no. I mean, I literally have, there's like nothing going on there. You know what I mean? Like I have subs from people who like, I think there's like music, no interest in what I'm doing now. So I think I'm like starting. I think you're further, I think you're further along at this thing than I am right now, for sure, actually.
Well, I guess then from that vantage point, like, I'm excited to see you do you. Like you're saying, you said something earlier about like what's special about me. And sometimes that's, I think in a earlier part of my life, I would have like frowned on that as like prideful or something, like mixed up with my, certain theology or something. It was like, but I think that when you hear like Christ say the golden rule, which is to love your neighbors, you love yourself. What does it mean to love yourself? It means to see yourself as one who's worthy to be loved, like God loves children or something, like, like that type of idea. And
to be encouraged and like pushed, to be like, hey, you like have something special to offer the world, and the mosaic that is humanity is less well off if you
if you're not. Yeah. This little light.
There it is. Finding the button on the soundboard. There it is.
Yeah. Oh, I can pull some Ruslan on here. I've got to turn on the noises. I won't do it. But,
some air horn or something.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well,
you have that like responsibility. That was the thing that got me too. It's like, because there's some degree to which, like, you know, when I like lost friends to suicide or things like that, it's like, hey, well, you know, you don't want to take undue responsibility, right? But it is real to think like, well, maybe like if there's a lot of future catastrophe that could be prevented by you deciding to walk in the way, is a way of thinking about it. You know, it's like there's a lot of things that are unwritten that, you know, and we could, you know, do a theological dance about this with those who wanted to dance, you know, but you know, you have an obligation to the people around you, you know, to fulfill your potential.
Hi, this is Christian Baxter, and you're listening to Yours Truly, a place we go to think out loud.